Yo guys, Vision and Shen here back with more Call of Duty Warzone content. In today's video I'll be bringing you some more Rebirthed Island ranked gameplay, continuing the grind towards Iridescent, the ultimate goal of this series, which I'm getting ever so close to at Crimson 3, with this gameplay being of my Crim 1 and Crim 2 games, as I'm recording this video about 4 weeks in advance, before the video even releases, where in this gameplay we have some pretty cool clutches for some wins, which at this level is very difficult to do, especially on a consistent basis. Now in this gameplay I land at Bio and Control using the LC-10 and Cypher before these guns sort of went away from the meta in itself, and end up getting a pretty high kill game, where you consider this rank of the players in these lobbies and stuff like that. It is definitely worth mentioning. So on that note, let's get right into it. So I guess first things first, just like a general overview I ask in every single one of these videos in this series, is what do you guys actually think of the state of Warzone right now in terms of meta, just the cheating and all that sort of stuff aside? What do you guys think regards to meta in itself? Because as you can see, I'm also using the ABR, which was a Battle Pass weapon that became absolutely broken, as they always do in every single season with the new Battle Pass weapons, and I have tried it out at times. I'm not really a fan of it. It is pretty broken. Well, it was at least, but at the time of this video, it definitely was, and it has been sort of tweaked and nerfed to this point now, where other guns have come into the meta, like GPR, the Kompact, the Ladra. I mean, the C9's been pretty consistent ever since. It's just always been a really good weapon, if not the most viable submachine gun. And when you guys are going to see this video, like I said, a couple weeks prior, which is when I'm recording this, the meta weapons right now are quite, like, there's quite a variety, which is great, and I think all in itself. But with me being so ever so close to Iridescent now, and for the next episode to hopefully be the final one on our journey to get back to that Iridescent level, I'm not really trying to get too caught up in the changes in the metas over the past few months. I'm just trying to use whatever's best in terms of most viable and what's going to give me the best advantage versus other players, just like everyone else would, and just not really trying to get caught up in it. But I guess as a summary in the last episode, in the next episode that will come out, I'm hoping to sort of wrap up a summary of how I feel about where Warzone's going and all that sort of stuff. So we'll go into more detail on that in the next episode. But it's just something I like to ask in case you guys are interested and want to sort of touch base in terms of comments down below at the end of the video, so we can talk about exactly what you guys think of the meta, the issues in Warzone, cheating, all of that sort of stuff. So let me know down below in the comments and I'll get right back to you, because I am interested to hear your thoughts, as I said. Now in this season, like I said, I've been using the LC-10, the Cypher, the GPR, the ABR, the C9, the Ladra, and the Kompact. I've actually created a couple loadout guides for anyone interested, which will be linked in the description below, for various different guns and loadouts and all that sort of stuff, and for past metas and current meta weapons. So bear that in mind in case you guys are interested. That's also linked in the description. Hopefully the gameplay speaks for itself in this video. Like, I still don't really feel like I'm fully back to my best by any means, but at the highest sort of the Crimson level, I'm fully aware you need to be absolutely locked in order to drop any high kill games or even win games at this point. And like I said, being so close to getting back to Iridescent again is a great feeling, as that's my ultimate goal for this season and this series. And hopefully I'll be there, like I said, for the next ranked play video that you guys will see on the channel, which I'll drop in about a week's time, or maybe 2 weeks, leading into Black Ops 7, following the beta, of course. But in many other games so far in this season, I've had an absolute blast. I've dropped some very high kill games, especially considering the level, and at the Crim level, it's definitely not easy to do that. Hopefully there's some higher skill players watching this video who can both relate and appreciate what I'm talking about, considering mostly all of the games have Iridescent and Crimson's players throughout. And I'll also add that since getting to that Crimson level, it has become very sweaty real quick. Like, it's very noticeable as soon as you get to Crimson that the player level has just jumped up massively in terms of skill, and sometimes it's very like, you get suspicious with the players who you're shooting against. Sometimes it's like, there's no way he's that good, he's probably cheating, and then you watch the kill cam and it's like, that doesn't really make sense to me, especially if you're like myself, who's been playing COD or even gaming for a long time. It's not about like getting shit or anything like that and just questioning whether someone had the better of you. Sometimes some of the players in these lobbies definitely don't add up. I know I'm playing on console, but there's definitely some suspicious activity going on in a lot of these lobbies in terms of how players are challenging gunfights and how they're picking up like team fights and stuff like that. But like I said, I'm ever so close now to that Iridescent level, so I'm really not trying to get caught up on it, because it does get you a bit annoyed when you're knowing you're getting cheated and you're losing games because of something out of your control and all that sort of stuff. Like I said, it's not really worth thinking about. But it's also worth mentioning that I also play Marvel Rivals. I know it's not relevant to this game, but I do play that a lot, and I am a Celestial level player on Rivals and grinding Lord and all that sort of stuff. For anyone who knows what that means, and for anyone rival players who may be interested, because of course I make all that content on my channel, I do create weekly content for that game, and I do think it's relevant to actually mention it, as in some ways I think it's holding me back from actually getting to where I potentially could be on Call of Duty and of course on Warzone, as I simply don't put enough time into where I probably should be focusing more on Warzone, as I actually am trying to get back to the Iridescent level, as I said. So maybe I could have done this a lot quicker had I actually spent more time on it, but that is the catch, of course, of this, for me trying to create content for so many different games on the channel. As I said, in case you guys are new, that is the sort of case on this channel. I do create so much content for various different games on this channel, and even Call of Duty. Like, I play multiplayer as well. I did back in the day. I got all the master camos, and even like I play zombies, I play Minecraft, Battlefield 6, Borderlands as well. So I think all things considered, getting to Crimson 3 with all of those games in the mix is definitely typical and definitely worth mentioning, I think, for any newer players to be aware of that. And then just like back to this video, I guess now for the landing spot. When me and my friends sort of play, we used to just land at Control for the absolute chaos. It was an absolute like blast in terms of when you could sort of come out of there for the most part, but of course there is so much risk going into it, especially at this level. Now if you know what you're doing at Control, it is definitely worth landing there, because you can get a lot of chaos. You can have one player land safe and anchor, or you can have two, and you can have one go into Control and try and get some kills. All about trying to get sort of methods and tips and tricks to try and get your SR up. These are all things that I would consider if you guys are trying to do that, in terms of trying to get the most amount of SR SR out of games that you possibly can. Playing safe whilst also trying to get SR and trying to get kills and all that sort of stuff is definitely worth considering. But for the most part, landing is honestly the most important bit in the entire game, especially at this level, which then we typically go to like the likes of bio for safety factor, or maybe even chemical, industry, that sort of area of the map. They are mixed landing areas where sometimes they can be really good and sometimes quite safe and quiet, and sometimes they can be chaotic for the most part. But I would say that these are like the mixed landing areas that you should typically try and go to in case you guys aren't sort of up for that chaotic start that Control or usually offers. Now, the majority of the map in itself works. You just need to know what you're kind of doing and where is best to land based on the zone and the plane route. As this level, rotation is fundamental and critical, and like the most game-changing factors, which will give you your positive SR, as you can get all of the kills you want. But if you place outside of that top 5, it's very unlikely you'll actually gain any SR at this level. So it's really stressful at times and difficult to actually grind up the rank. And one quick game of being eliminated, one bad start right at the very start, if you land at the wrong area and completely get wiped out as a team, this can be and just completely eliminate a hard-earned win from the game before, which has happened to me. You can literally go and win a game, take all, I don't know, the 20, 25 minutes, whatever it takes to get the win, get a really good game, and then go into your next game. And if you do not land well, you can just die, and it completely wipes out all of that progress that you've done. So just give you an idea on how difficult it can actually be to grind SR and get back to that Iridescent level for anyone who is interested, and of course is on that same rank grind, which for the most part I am assuming there are players that are watching this that know about all of these struggles and can relate to exactly what I'm talking about. For the most part, I'd say at this sort of Crimson level, the biggest thing I would say other than landing is like the sticking together, the dynamic of your squad, stacking as a team, shooting the same players, all of these sort of obvious things for higher skill players that you probably think is really normal. They would be the sort of most common things I would say that you can do as a team that would sort of catch you out if you're not doing it. But as a team, you can definitely get really far in the games. Like, you really want to get top 8 as like your safety and your minimum area, because then that way you're less likely to actually lose SR. But if unless you get the top 4, that sort of threshold where you jump up SR, you're not really actually going to gain any SR. But I guess the bottom line is you always want to be trying to look to not lose SR at this point, and then anything above that is where you're going to actually push towards Iridescent and get up the levels. But in summary, I'd say pretty much the season so far has been pretty fun as always. Ranked has been successful for me so far, and as always, I will continue to try and farm some high kill content to share with you guys, as well as any upcoming videos on meta loadouts, season updates. So stay tuned, and hopefully in the next episode, as I said, I will be showing you that I finally got to Iridescent, officially completing the series just in time for Black Ops 7, which is right around the corner. But if you guys have enjoyed the video, as always, do not forget to like and subscribe, as it massively helps me out. And if you have any suggestions on upcoming videos that you want to see on the channel, let me know down below in the comments and I'll go right back to you. I'm FishingSGN. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.